Hereby call the City Council meeting for January 28th to order. If I could get, let's see, Mr. Wolf, could you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance tonight?
I would be happy to. Thank you. All face the flag, put your right hand over your heart, repeat with me. To the flag of the United States of America.
The United States of
The
America.
republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. If I can get Linda to do roll call, please.
Sure. Councilmember Andrusik.
Here.
Councilmember King.
Here.
Councilmember Lewis.
Here.
Vice Mayor Sanchez.
Here.
And Mayor Sierra.
Here. Thank you very much. Do we have any reordering of the agenda tonight?
No, ma'am, not this evening.
Okay. Public comments. I'm going to open it up to the
Sounds
public. I'm going to give people a chance for 3 minutes. Are
you hearing a breakup in volume?
don't think we have any public comments. Is anything in?
Hey, Holly, you're glitching on your audio.
How do I fix this?
I'm not sure you can.
One possible way is to turn your video off. I know that that's not preferable, but that helps the upload a bit.
All righty. Does this sound any better?
Yes.
Monumentally.
Yes, way better.
I just, I break mirrors when I look in them sometimes. So maybe this will, don't know. Okay, so I've opened up for public comment. We haven't received any public comment?
No public comment.
Okay, then I am closing public comment, moving to the consent calendar. We have minutes of January 14, 2021 regular city council meeting, list of claims to be approved and ratified for payment to date for fiscal year 2020, 2021, monthly treasurer's report for December 31st, 2020, and receive fiscal years 2021, 22, and 2022-23 biannual budget process schedule. Does anybody have any questions about this, or is there a motion?
Move for approval.
I'll second.
Okay, Linda?
Okay, Councilmember King.
Aye.
Councilmember Lewis.
Hi.
Councilmember Andrusik.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Sanchez.
Aye.
And Mayor Sierra.
Aye. Thank you very much. Before COVID started and a little bit during COVID, we were doing proclamations and recognizing groups that really helped our community out. And it was brought to my attention that through our Buellton Senior Center, that there is a business, it's not nonprofit, but boy, they are sure putting themselves out, helping a bunch of people during the pandemic. So tonight we are going to make a presentation, a proclamation recognizing Giordano's Food Service for their support and donations during the COVID-19 pandemic. Pam's holding up the proclamation. And I will read it because it kind of explains what Carrie and the crew down at Giordano's are doing. And it's pretty amazing. So this is tried to print it, I couldn't. Proclamation recognizing Giordano's Food Service for their support and donations during the COVID-19 pandemic. Whereas we can all agree that the past year has been challenging in many ways due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and one of the biggest struggles for many has been the inability to put food on the table. And whereas the Buellton Senior Center, seeing the great need in the Valley to provide food for those in need, reached out to Giordano's Food Service in Santa Barbara for food donations. And whereas on a daily basis, Mike Ward and Carrie Reeves Gilbraith from Giordano's Food Service take turns talking with the Buellton Senior Center to describe what they have in abundance for donation, from milk products to produce and beyond. And whereas the Buellton Senior Center staff make the round trip to Giordano's, where they fill their van with food supplies and return to the Valley, where food products are provided to families in need and used to prepare meals for seniors, residents, out of work restaurant employees, and others in need. And whereas Mike and Carrie and Giordano's owners have gone above and beyond to help our community during a time of great need, and their generosity continues to be a blessing for so many Valley residents. And whereas long after the COVID-19 pandemic has passed, this community will remember the kindness and giving spirit of Giordano's Food Service, and for that we are truly grateful. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Holly Sierra, on behalf of the Buellton City Council, do hereby recognize and thank Giordano's Food Service for their support and donations made to the Buellton Senior Center and the Santa Ynez Valley over the past year and into 2021. And I just, what you guys are doing is helping so many families, so many community members here in Buellton and in the Valley. Pam, did you want to say anything?
Yes, Holly, just a few things. I'm sorry if I was supposed to put in public comment. First of all, Mayor Sierra and council members, thank you for giving this honor to Giordano's. When last March hit us so hard, and we were trying to figure out which way was up, Giordano's came in and helped us with that. So, I mean, just as an example, for today, they donated over 5,600 pounds of food today. Just gives you some indication of how they are helping and stepping up. And I know that Mike sometimes actually has to pull over on the side of the road to help me and make sure that the food gets here. So I'm just very grateful. I'm grateful to the council and to the city of Buellton for supporting us. I'm so grateful to Giordano's for everything they've done. And I think with all this help, we can get through this. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Carrie, I truly appreciate everything that you and your staff are doing for the community. Council members, anything you want to say?
Big thanks.
Big thanks.
I'd like to say thank you very much. And knowing people that get these, it's very valuable. And I really appreciate all your contributions to the community. It's very nice of you. Thank you.
Always
All
good to
right.
help out Pam in the senior center. She's awesome. We love it.
Well, we truly appreciate. She is a kind of a one woman show up here in the Valley.
A force of nature.
A force of nature is a very good way
Along
to
with
put it.
today.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I can't imagine. I just can't even imagine. But thank you very, very much. We truly
Thank you.
appreciate the help.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We move on to our public hearings tonight. We have one, agenda item number 6, ordinance number 21-01, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Buellton, California, considering revisions to Title 19 zoning of the Buellton Municipal Code 20-ZOA-03 relating to animal raising and keeping, amending section 19.06.020. This is an introduction and first reading. Cara.
Good evening, Madam.
Yeah.
Karen. It's been a while. But good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the City Council. Before you tonight is a proposal for a text amendment to the zoning ordinance to revise one sentence relating to the keeping of large animals such as horses, goats, cows, pigs, and similarly sized animals on residentially zoned lots. So the intent of this revision is to allow lots that are 40,000 square feet, which is just under half an acre, or just under an acre, or greater, to be able to keep more than one of these animals. Currently, the code only allows one large animal on a lot that's residentially zoned of any size, providing that the lot is at least 20,000 square feet, which is just under half an acre. So the maximum of one large animal allowed was a result of a 2006 amendment to this section. But as far as staff can find, the cap, maximum of one large animal, was not intentional or desired by staff, the Planning Commission, or the City Council at that time. The amendment stemmed from a 2006 zoning ordinance workshop, and it was one of 13 different sections of the municipal code amended at one time. So the cap seems to be an unintended consequence of the revised language. And as far as staff can tell, the intent of the revisions at that time was only to clarify the minimum lot size. So the code prior to the 2006 amendment would have allowed one large animal for every 20,000 square feet, meaning, for example, that one or two large animals, like two goats or two horses, would be allowed on an acre lot, or 4 large animals could be allowed on a 2-acre lot. So this was the code prior to 2006. The proposed amendment tonight would be consistent with this prior language, and staff feels this isn't unreasonable, provided that other existing provisions in the code section are met, such as setbacks for stables and barns, which are pretty large, and that no commercial breeding will be taking place. The lots that could be affected and realistically would take advantage of this allowance are all large lots on the outskirts of town. And attachment 1 of tonight's packet shows a map of some of the general areas in town where these larger lots are. So all of them are on the outskirts of town, ranging from an acre to 5 acres. The only lot that is not on the outskirts of town is right in the middle there. It's actually Crossroads Church, which would not realistically be taking advantage of keeping large animals. And so some of them that you can see on the map there would be multiple large lots backing the hills on the northwest side of town, some lots on Ballard Canyon that are 2 or 3 acres, and the Williamson property is actually included in this. So along with the proposed allowance, though, the revision would also set a cap on the number of pigs allowed to a maximum of 3, and any other large animal at a maximum of 5. So the city of Solvang and the county of Santa Barbara have very similar provisions for animal keeping as those proposed tonight. And staff feels that the amendment would help to maintain the city's small town rural character, especially in the large residentially zoned lots directly adjacent to the county, in a way that's still appropriate for the urban environment with maintaining some of those standards. One last thing to note is that currently animal raising and keeping under this section is allowed by a zoning clearance, which is ministerial, in all residential zones. And also applicants who might want to exceed these permitted standards could apply under a minor use permit. So zoning administrator approval. With that, the recommendation is to consider the introduction and first reading of ordinance 21-01 and waive further reading. So Andrea, Kiefer, and I are both available to answer any questions that you may have.
All righty. Thank you very much. Any questions for staff?
I don't have any questions, but I did want to just put it out there publicly that I did have a question when I was reading this, and I asked, I believe it was Kara. So thank you very much for the information. As a parent whose kids do 4-H and FFA, I was concerned that this might impact their abilities to partake in those activities. And I was happy to learn that that's not the case and that there is an exception for those families participating in 4-H and FFA. So I just thought that if there are parents out there whose children partake in that they might want to know that. So
Thank you. Let's see. Councilman Andrusik, questions?
No, ma'am.
Councilman
Great
King?
idea.
No,
Any
ma'am.
questions? Vice Mayor Sanchez?
Not at this
Okay. Then I'm going to open it up for public input. Open it up to the public. Linda, do we have anybody who has any comments, anything they want to let us know about this one?
No, ma'am. No comment.
All righty. I am closing public comment then and bringing it back to council for discussion and possible action.
Madam Mayor, move for approval.
Okay,
I'll
Second.
by
second.
title only, waive further reading.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
All righty. Thank you. Linda?
Okay, Councilmember Andrusik,
Aye.
Councilmember Lewis,
Hi.
Councilmember King,
aye.
Vice Mayor Sanchez,
Aye.
and Mayor Sierra.
Aye. Thank you very much. Very well put together. I'm glad that when council has questions that they're able to reach staff and get them answered. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Just as an aside, could we ask what was the time frame from this first introduction to tonight? 2 months, 1 month?
I believe as soon as we can schedule.
No, I meant, how long did we get to this point? It's been approved. I'm just curious for anyone interested in taking on a task like bringing an ordinance forward that has use for the community. That's what I.
When it was first brought to our attention that it needed looking at.
Yes.
It was first brought to our attention, Andrea, you can correct me if I'm off, but I believe in the summer was when we were first looking at
maybe 3, 4, 5 months ago or so, we were researching it based upon an inquiry that came in. And when we took a detailed look at the code section, we realized that it needed some looking into. And so that's kind of what prompted this amendment here. So
Great. I appreciate the timeline. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to council member comments / items. I'm going to start at the top. Vice Mayor Sanchez, what comments or items would you like to share with the council?
None at this time. I just do want to thank the Public Works for getting the storm drains cleaned out. We made the news in the neighborhood watch, and somebody gave us kudos for cleaning the drains in front of their house. So that was nice. Thank you.
All righty. Councilman Andrusik, any comments or items?
The drains were the target I was aiming to compliment. So great response, and it's a seamless operation. Thank you to staff.
Good. Councilman King?
The only thing I have is now that the eucalyptus trees have been brought to the forefront, maybe we can, at a future agenda item or have, at least by direction from Scott, take a look at maybe improving that area between my neighborhood where the sidewalk ends and then that area out there. And maybe John knows a little bit more history about this, of maybe improving that dirt area between those two sidewalks. Because on the other side of the Dale's property, There's another concrete with curb sidewalk, and then up to the Thumbelina area, there's sidewalk. And so maybe we can take another look at that and see if something could be done.
We're already on it.
Okay, well, hey, head of the game.
Thank you. We will.
Perfect.
We will continue on that path.
A lot of history there, huh?
Yeah.
A lot of history. Let's see, Councilman Lewis, any comments / items from you?
Nope, I was going to comment on the same thing John did. So I think he took it from all of us tonight.
Wow, nice. I'm going to just bring up a couple. The Senior Center is now doing $10 dinners on Friday, Monday, Tuesday with 24-hour notice. And they were using the chefs from Alisal Golf Course, Alisal Ranch, who have been out of work, and they are feeding anybody who doesn't have to be a senior. And then the money that they're raising goes to the chefs to help them since they're out of work right now. Maybe they won't be out of work in another week or two, but they've had a lot of wait staff that have been kind of laid off. So meals at the Senior Center. And for the latest on COVID information, the county has got a 211 line now. So if you call 211 with any questions, when your turn is coming up for vaccinations, what's the status, any kind of numbers you want, 211 is the number that everybody should be calling. They are fully staffed now. It took a bit ago, but they've got it manned to the hilt, and they will help us with any kind of COVID information you have. Okay, done with council member comments,
I had a
items.
question.
Yes,
The $10 dinner, is that to go? You order them and then go pick them up?
oh my gosh, we've done a couple of them. I think the city manager might have done one too, but yeah, it's a really nice meal. You call the day, you can call the Senior Center and Merrill will tell you what they're serving. They change each time, Friday, Monday, Tuesday. You say, I want 2 meals, I want whatever. And all you do is drive up with your money, and they'll stick it in the back seat of your car for you. You don't even get out of the car. Anyway, it's just another nice way to help out the community, and boy, those people can cook. So
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any written communications tonight?
No, ma'am, none this evening.
Okay, committee reports. Let's see, Alicia or Councilman Lewis, there was a joint use meeting. Maybe you could fill us in on that one.
Yeah, it was the first joint use meeting I was a part of, and it was nice to see some old and familiar faces. We had a good discussion regarding some equipment that needs updated and figuring out a timeline for when the city can occupy the recreation spaces again related to COVID and the school opening and the school guidelines. So all in all, I felt like it was a productive meeting, and we have a starting off point for once we have some information related to reopening and sanitization and stuff with COVID use.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Anybody else have any committee reports?
Mayor,
Councilman Andresic?
thank you. CCWA met today for our normal time in the month. The biggest thing that stands out is that we're at an all-time low for water inventory, and that signals that we are slated for a water shortage if things do not, I think last 3 days we get a little encouragement, but apparently they're forecasting continued shortages in the future. So you may kind of prepare yourselves for some being diligent with your water broadcasting. It's once you get rid of it, it's hard to bring back when it's not falling out of the sky.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, thank you.
I think by considering upgrading, and spending a lot of water on their property may want to rethink it, because that's what happens when you get a shortage. They create a demand to cut back and restrict you, and it's a frustration, but it's a fact of life for government bodies. So,
Okay, thank you.
sure.
Councilman King, anything from you?
No, ma'am, not this time.
Thank you very much. Vice Mayor Sanchez, any committee report from you?
No report, but I did watch the meeting with CCWA this morning, and it was pretty interesting. So that was nice. Thank you.
Good. Water is the new gold, huh?
Yeah.
So I did have a SBCAG meeting last week. We heard from our federal and state lobbyists who really don't have a whole bunch to say right now. Nobody really knows what's going to be happening. And we are looking into taking out a federal TIFIA loan to finish the 101 expansion HOV widening lane. So that was that one.
What size of loan, Madam Mayor?
Oh God, it's like 46.
Or just roughly?
We're looking at about anywhere. We've been approved for anywhere from 46 to 72 million.
Okay.
And right now it's at like 1.25% payback.
Can't beat that.
So it's got to be approved in DC. They're putting all the paperwork together. So it has not been submitted yet. We're hoping that we could get the expansion done without the loan. But if you have money in your pocket, it's a lot easier to find matching grants, matching funding. So, this is a nice loan because you only borrow it as you need it. So we can go up to 72 million, but if we only need 30 million, then if you need 5 million now and then 10 million later, then you can work it. So you don't have to take the loan all at once or even the full amount.
That's good. So they don't become spendthrifts. Thank you.
Yeah.
Taking it all at once and parking it somewhere and you never see it again except for the payments. That's good.
No, and we're not planning any big vacations with SBCAG. So
Any airplanes, helicopters?
no.
Okay.
Moving on to business items, we have consideration of amended and restated agreement with the San Ynez Valley Botanic Garden Foundation. Mr. Abello, you've got this one.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, honorable council members. I believe all of you are very familiar with the San Ynez Valley Botanic Garden and the foundation that since 2006, the city has had a very fruitful partnership with for the development and ongoing maintenance and operation of the Botanic Garden at the west end of Riverview Park. It's hard to believe, but 14 years ago, that was just bare gravel and dirt. And it's now, forest, really, with trees. I believe there's over 100 trees and then many more shrubs, bushes, and smaller plantings. And so in addition to those, maintaining all the plant material and irrigation systems, the Botanic Garden Foundation has really made the most of attracting private donations as well to put in lots of the physical amenities. There's a nice stone amphitheater, a propagation shed, information kiosk, and many other amenities that are all from private donation or in-kind donations from businesses. So they have really enhanced and improved a city public amenity for everyone without having to ask continually for grant money to pay for those amenities. They also put on a huge number of active programming. Even through all of the shutdown, they have been continuing to have outdoor propagation workshops, succulent wreath making, and it's really been I think a really destination point for both our Buellton residents and for all throughout the valley to have a a quiet, natural area to be able to enjoy when a lot of other things are closed. The partnership really continues to be a benefit to the city and the public. This amended and restated agreement basically simplifies the series of agreements that have been in the past. We did this several years ago with the city's other longstanding Pause Park agreement to make the renewals automatic 1-year terms at the end of the term when it expires. So it's not always having to come back and be another 3-year or 6-year term as it has been in the past. And so because of their excellent track record and continuing partnership and the benefits that they bring to the city, staff is recommending that council consider approval of this amended and restated agreement.
All righty, thank you very much. First of all, are there any questions?
I had a question.
Vice Mayor Sanchez, yeah, please.
Oh, on the grounds of that, and the foundation pays for all the improvements and all that. What about the bridge going over to is that part of the park or is that part of the foundation?
That's part of the city's responsibility area. The cutoff really is that drainage swale. So the boundaries, part of one of the past amendments was to include the slope. The slope plantings were dying, and the original irrigation that was put in when the park was put in was failing. And so the foundation actually approached the city and asked if they would consider turning over the slope as well, which it's right adjacent to the other planting. So it made sense, and it's looking a lot better. But yeah, that bridge is something that I know our Public Works Director has been keeping an eye on, because the Trex is deteriorating, and there's some little bit of an ADA issue as it sinks. And so we've had a couple repairs to bring it back up to level, but I think we're due for a longer term solution.
Okay, thank you.
All righty. Any other questions for Kyle?
Not a question, Madam Mayor, but perhaps an observation. It's just a very efficient operating basis, and really it came from nowhere, and I think it's making major strides for the appearance of the community. And I really appreciate Kyle's putting 2 hands and 2 feet into the project.
Well, exactly. It really has become a hidden gem, and not so hidden anymore. Local hotels have been receiving calls from people who book rooms of where is the Botanic Garden. It's the foundation has a really nice website and really has publicized the great things that they're doing. And in reality, without a dedicated parks department, they are really keeping up the area to a very high caliber. It would cost a whole lot more if the city had to hire landscape contractors to do what they and a lot of the volunteers do to keep that garden looking great.
Yeah, agreed.
Wonderful. Right.
Okay, so before we move forward, we're going to open it up for any public comment. Linda, anything on this one?
No, ma'am.
All righty, closing public comment, bringing it back to council for discussion and action.
I move that we approve the amended and restated agreement with the Santa Ynez Botanic Garden Foundation as presented and written by our rec supervisor, Kyle Bello.
I'll
Thank you.
second.
Wonderful. Thank you both. Linda?
Okay, Councilmember King.
Aye.
Councilmember Lewis.
Aye.
Councilmember Andrusik.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Sanchez.
Aye.
And Mayor Sierra.
Aye. Thank you. All righty. We're going to return to our rec supervisor, Kyle Bello, for consideration of budget amendment for recreation bus engine repair.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and honorable council members. One of those unforeseen and unwanted situations with this item. we, as you know, have many outdoor excursions, and they form one of the cornerstones of the overall recreation program, especially during these times where indoor activities are restricted. We have two recreation buses. One is a 14-passenger with a wheelchair lift, and the other is a 25-passenger. Both are Ford chassis vehicles with paratransit seating. And they're used really throughout the year for youth camps and mountain bike trips and things during the summer, adult and senior day trips, senior lunch buddies when we're able to do that again with the senior center. But this past December, during routine oil change and inspection, the 25-passenger bus was discovered to have irreparable engine damage due to long-term overheating. So something that's been coming for a long time. It is a V10 engine, and that is part of the issue, I think, with long trips and carrying a lot of weight. So the initial diagnosis was confirmed by a second opinion from a different mechanic. And the estimate you see there for all parts and labor to replace the engine and have a 3-year, 100,000-mile warranty is included as attachment 1. Other than the engine, all other parts of the vehicle remain in excellent condition. And the impact if this repair was not made and we lost the 25-passenger vehicle, we would just have a pretty large reduction in the number of participants for our excursions that we would be able to have. Currently, we have to cut the number in half to be able to space people out in the bus. So that would just make it almost, especially given the cost of the entry for different trips, having a 14-passenger bus where we could have 7 participants, that would be really kind of at the edge of what we can make feasible to make it cost effective. We did receive other quotes for the repair, but they were much higher than the existing one you see from R&M. Other options for replacement of the vehicle, staff found a new 25-passenger bus would be $70,000 or more. Many of the buses, you have to pay extra when you are getting all the seats and seat belts and those things. They don't come standard. Used buses, there were several that we found in the $20,000 range, but with high mileage original engines, 200,000 to 300,000 miles. So really transit buses that were being surplused by other cities or entities that were really on the end of their usable lifespan. Given that's the case, and if the council does wish to continue to have that 25-passenger bus to enhance the recreation programs, staff would recommend that council consider amending the recreation vehicle maintenance budget by $10,000 to provide for the engine repair.
All righty. Thank you very much. Any questions for Kyle? I had one. What is the mileage on that 25-passenger bus right now?
It is just under 100,000 miles.
Okay.
And what price tag, Madam Mayor, I'm sorry, what kind of price would it be to duplicate or to replace that in an open market with used equipment?
To replace the used bus.
If you had to go out and look for a replacement versus a brand new one, what you're around the 80,000
replacement? Yeah, a replacement with about 100,000 miles is running about $35,000 to $40,000.
Okay. I think that's more city's budget than the 100 and 200,000, but thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All righty. Any other questions? Okay, go to public for any input there. I'm guessing that there is no public input on this one, Linda?
Correct. No comment.
Thank you. Then I'm closing public comment down and bringing it back to council. Kind of seems like a no-brainer to me. I mean, I've been on a few of the trips that the rec department's done. I think Councilman Andrusik has too. And the buses are well maintained, really, really nice, and a very nice, what is it? Just something nice to be able to offer the community. So I would make the motion that we amend the budget for the recreation bus engine repair.
Well, I'd like to make a second on that with a comment.
Certainly, Councilman King.
We're approving an additional $10,000 now. We all know that at 100,000 miles, this motor should not have blown. So when we put a new motor in here, anybody that drives that, Kyle, I'd like you to show them where the dipstick is when they fill it up with gas, to check the dipstick and how much oil is in there, and show them where the temperature gauge is, because I've worked on cars since I was a kid in high school, and this got driven without any oil in it, and it fried the motor.
Human error.
Indeed.
Okay, then I will second that.
Thank you. Linda?
Okay, Mayor Sierra.
Aye.
Councilmember King.
Aye.
Councilmember Andrusik.
Aye.
Councilmember Lewis.
Aye.
And Vice Mayor Sanchez.
Aye.
Excellent.
Thank you very much.
Of course.
Thank you, Kyle.
Moving on to our SB 1383 summary. Public Works Director Rose Hess.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of council. So what I have before you tonight is just a summary of Senate Bill 1383. I have attached a presentation. I won't be going over that. I'll be going over SB 1383 in general, but the presentation's attached more for your perusal at your leisure, and we can discuss more as we move forward. Those are excerpts I pulled off of Cal Recycle's website, so that you have something to reference instead of pages upon pages of text. To summarize, Senate Bill 1383 is California's organic waste reduction mandate. So this requires the state to reduce organic waste, such as food waste, green waste, etc., organic waste disposal by 75% by 2025. In addition, there's a part of this law that requires an increase of edible food recovery by 20% by 2025. So these targets for reduction are statewide. So the state as a whole needs to meet these mandates, and it's not by individual jurisdictional targets. But on that note, this authorizes Cal Recycle, who would be the enforcement agency over the different jurisdictions, to adopt and impose regulations necessary to achieve the statewide targets. So what's going to happen is that the local jurisdictions, the various cities, will be required to implement specific actions and ordinances within our cities so that we can help the state meet these mandates. There's different dates that we have different targets to meet by. The important date is 2022. And that's the date the local jurisdictions will be required to provide organics collection service to all residents and businesses. We have to establish edible food recovery programs, conduct education and outreach programs. We need to implement recycling procurement policies and have capacity planning. So for several years now, Santa Barbara County, including all the local agencies, and including all the various haulers that are in servicing in Santa Barbara County, we've all been meeting quarterly and conducting and coordinating efforts, planning efforts regarding how to comply with SB 1383. A lot of the requirements leading up to 1383, you've seen them before. There's been earlier assembly bills such as AB 341, which is the mandatory commercial recycling, and there's AB 1826, which is the mandatory organics recycling. So all of these earlier mandates have provided groundwork leading up to 1383. It's kind of all these older mandates on steroids. Now they're going to follow up with additional enforcement, ensuring all the jurisdictions are complying. So the city's been working on a lot of these features already. I said, especially with Marburg, we do a lot of outreach to the community, to residences and businesses. Some of our community is actually proactive. A few years before these mandates, we've actually been in contact with the school district, and they wanted to do food recovery and recycling in the schools. So there was a pilot program with Marburg that was set up to do that. So we're on track for working on SB 1383. Cities already adopted things like the Cal Green and Model Water Efficient Landscape Ordinances. We did that back in 2010. Obviously, we also offer the various canister programs. When we do have waste in the town, we have the trash cans, the recycling cans, and the green cans. But there still be distinct changes to the operations. And one of these that would be significant to the city is requiring mandatory trash service requirements. Currently, that's not in the city's municipal code, but it is in the model ordinances that's provided by CalRecycle. CalRecycle at least has provided different types of model ordinances that cover enforcement and compliance and procurement policies, and different things that they want to see as part of their program. So at least there's no doubt as far as what they want to see. The achievability is a different issue that we've been discussing with our local groups countywide. But this will give you an introduction to what is going to be expected. We're still reviewing the model ordinances and what that means. Other things such as the procurement policy is not a big ordeal for the city. It's things that we have been doing operationally, but it needs to just be more solidified formally and adopted into our ordinances. So staff will be keeping council apprised of new information and progress towards this compliance, as we do need to be in compliance by 2022. Towards the end of the year, you'll see draft ordinances that will be brought forward for adoption when it's appropriate. There's no other specific actions the council needs to take at this time, but this is things that we want to start providing to you so that you can get familiar with the terminology and the requirements. And this is occurring statewide, so we are not the only folks in this boat. So with that, if you have any questions, I'll try to answer them. Or I will get back to you as soon as possible.
Thank you, Rose. Councilman Andrusik.
Just a question, Rose. Has either the state or the federal government opened up a valve for funding to achieve these goals they're setting?
No, of course not.
You think
Unfortunately,
they ever
there is
will?
not. I don't know if there
Probably
shall
not.
be one in the future.
Well, seemed like it'd be more widely received if there was a lot of our programs are jumped on by communities that want to take benefit, and they're working partnerships with the government instead of having to
Right.
dig in their own treasure chest.
Well, a lot of these programs too, we're trying to coordinate the efforts countywide. For example, the food recovery programs, there's,
Yeah.
especially since Santa Barbara County as a whole is relatively small. And so it'd be the same organizations that we're all dealing with. So on that note, we're just trying to coordinate all together countywide to see how we can make that program work beneficially for all of our agencies. So there's different things that we're trying to do and coordinate the efforts regionally so that we can comply.
Improved efficiency. Thank you.
Yes.
All righty. Let's see. Councilman Lewis, any questions on this one?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. Councilman King?
No.
Vice Mayor Sanchez?
Yeah, I just had a question. this looks like something is it going to be something like like the water, clean water department kind of thing, or the state water board kind of enforcement, or the stormwater kind of enforcement? Or is this something kind of volunteer that we're going to just kind of reach for?
Well,
something that can come down to a finable offense that we don't do so much by a certain time.
it's hard to say at this point. Up until now, compliance for the other two assembly bills have been, you know, with our best efforts, you know, and we've done the best to comply. And obviously there's some things we're just not able to comply with, et cetera. And there isn't any enforcement action on those. What we've all been told is that with SB 1383, there will be enforcement actions to follow suit. But that will be up to each local jurisdictions and in their negotiations with CalRecycle, because every agency, every region is going to have their own challenges in how we can or can't enforce or implement the program. So, you know, we're going to be as diligent as we can to implement the requirements and follow suit. Every year, we actually have an inspection and audit with CalRecycle over the current programs. And they've been trying to work with us so far, but it's hard to say until they actually start implementing 1383.
Yeah, but CalRecycle is a government agency?
Yes.
Or, okay, all right, thank you.
You know, my question is, how do we get our community to comply? We already have issues with recyclables and regular trash that we're not able to meet the percentage that they want. And now we're supposed to be telling our residents that, you know, there's going to be this third container, and if they don't follow it, then the city, it looks like in 2024 that the city will start getting fined for not complying. Are you working on a program for the general public as well that we can roll out in advance of 2022?
Yes, we're working together with Marburg as far as how we're going to implement and reach out to folks. What will be hit first? So for residential, we're pretty good in compliance right now because we have segregated trash and green waste and recyclable materials. Their target right now is to work on businesses, primarily like restaurants, places that have food waste, and trying to get those additionally separated. But also, we are partners with the county and the whole county-wide organization and their resource facility. And that's going to have additional sorting and segregation at that facility that will help put everyone in compliance as well. So being part of that project's an important part of compliance for 1383.
Wonderful, thank you. If there are no further questions, I'll open it up to the public.
And no comment. ma'am,
Thank
Madam
you.
Mayor.
I'll close it down from the public. Greg,
Mayor?
would you? Yes.
I was just wondering if there's talk of the incentive for communities to want to do this by if you do this, we'll do that. Then they can maybe better meet the target. But seems like there's, again, the higher organizations, the state, counties, state, federal, need to put some money in the pot, I think, to draw small communities like we are to be more effective with incentives.
Right. And I think just to clarify also, so those goals that they're trying to reach for the reductions, that's statewide. So that doesn't mean Buellton has to have 75% reduction in organic waste. It means the state as a whole. So it's going to take everyone's information to get to that 75%. So the more that the larger agencies can do definitely helps the smaller agencies, because we're kind of a bump on the log comparative to the size of a lot of communities.
Thank you, Rose. Because it means then that the businesses are getting involved in the squeaky wheel sort of presentation. If you want us to do this, or will you do this? And I think that probably gives this some successful options.
Right.
Instead of just being told you will do this, or we will close you down.
Right. And the key will be for us to implement the program as best as we reasonably can and show that we're making the best effort to move forward, working with our businesses and our community. And that's also an important part of when we were doing the in-person site visits, which obviously last year we weren't able to do, but we would bring them to different parts of the town that they were particularly interested in, like our multifamily residential areas, to show them, look, these are the actual physical site constraints and why they can't have a recycle bin or a green waste bin, or, we know these areas are maintained separately through an outside contractor, et cetera. So that helps a lot with the audits.
It's productive.
Okay.
Sounds productive.
If anybody can pull it off, you can pull it off, Rose.
Yay,
Well, Madam Mayor, I just
Yes.
have a comment on this. This SB 1383 sounds like just another harebrained idea from the legislator, that they're enforcing all of us to do some more recycling on this, which is ultimately going to be unenforceable, because you can't go to people's houses and go, oh, well, you have to take that and that and that. You have to put it in this other can that you got to put it out the street. But then we'll get audited. And if we're not recycling this, like Ed alluded to, they're going to fine us. So it's, to me, this is just another ridiculous overreach by our state legislator.
Workshops. We need workshops.
Okay. Now, Greg, we review the information and presentation. Do we need a motion to accept the information, or can this just be informational?
Informational only, ma'am. We can move on to the next item.
Thank you, sir. Okay, more vehicles. Agenda item number 10, award a bid for replacement fleet vehicle. Director Hess.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of City Council. So the Public Works Department this time is in need to replace one of its fleet vehicles. The 2010 Chevy Traverse was damaged in a collision, and the claims have, the adjusters have deemed the vehicles a total loss. The city will be receiving approximately $23,000 in change for the vehicle, which will be put towards the purchase of the replacement vehicle. City went out to bid to request pricing for an equivalent vehicle, both in used and in new options. We received bids from Rio Vista Chevrolet and Jim Freeland Ford. From Rio Vista, we received bid on for a used 2018 Traverse in an amount of $25,690.75. From Jim Freeland Ford, and I do apologize, there is an error on my table. It says an Escape. The equivalent that Freeland Ford did bid on was for an Explorer. Sorry. Still can't get it right. A Ford Explorer, which is the equivalent version of the Chevy Traverse. They did not have a used version available to bid, but they did provide bids for a new vehicle. So Rio Vista's bid for the new 2021 Traverse is $29,074.53, and Jim Freeland Ford's bid for a new Explorer was $30,028.78. So all things being considered, the cost for the Traverse does come under even for the new, for the equivalent vehicles. At this point, staff's recommendation is to purchase the lowest price vehicle, the 2018 Traverse from Rio Vista Chevrolet. We did want to put in, have council the ability to consider looking at the newer vehicle. The used vehicle obviously is 3 years older and comes at about 12,000 miles. Council may want to discuss the merits of purchasing a three-year newer vehicle in the amount of $29,074.53. The difference is about just over $3,300 between the new and the used. The fiscal impact, as I mentioned, the city will be receiving $23,000 and change from the insurance. This will cover most of the cost of the replacement vehicle. If we go with the used vehicle, that leaves a balance of $2,120.25. And those monies would be split over the General Public Works Fund, the Wastewater Fund, and the Water Fund. Currently, there is remaining unencumbered balances in those funds. We would still need to do a budget adjustment to include the purchase of the vehicle into the fund so we can document the vehicle purchase transaction. But the net impact to the funds would be minimal. It would be $706.75 to each of those funds that were listed. So at this point, you also should have received, our city manager was able to email everybody a copy of the bids that were received. So between the Traverse and the Ford Explorer, and I'm available to answer any questions.
All righty, questions for Rose? Dave, Councilman King, you're the car guy.
Well, the size wise, and I did have a discussion with her that, you know, she carries a lot of big boxes and things in the back. So size wise, when you want to look at the two different ones, the Traverse and the Explorer, which is not as big as the old Explorer, but they're basically the same size, correct?
Yes, those were the two equivalents.
Right, and they both have 3 rows of seats, so you could take a total of what, 2 bucket seats in the front, 8 people in that vehicle if the need arises, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right, I will defer this to everyone else, and then I'll come back with my opinion later.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, Councilman Lewis, any questions?
Yeah, when you're looking at the warranty information between the used Traverse and the new 4x2 2021 Traverse, is the warranty for the new vehicle substantially better enough to warrant the increase in price, or is the warranty with the used vehicle sufficient enough?
The warranty would be shorter with the used vehicles, so it's roughly the same. It's not as good as the brand new vehicle, but I haven't done analysis in detail to, you know, cost dollar benefit wise.
Mm-hmm. But the used vehicle does come with a warranty that covers like powertrain, all that type of stuff?
Yes.
Okay, Councilman Andrusik, questions?
No, ma'am. Appreciate the presentation.
Vice Mayor Sanchez?
Yeah, I was wondering what was the mileage on the 2010?
Oh, the 2010 was about.
You mean the 18?
2018.
Wait.
18.
No, I'm talking about the one that were lost, the one that we lost.
Oh, the one that about 178,000.
Okay. So I think it'd be money well spent to get the new one, but and that'll be my comment and my question. 29,000.
Okay, thank you. Going to open it up to the public real quick. Linda, am I closing it down to the public?
Yeah, no comments.
Thank you. Closing public comment, bringing it back. I mean, I don't know cars. I know that you're supposed to, if you get a used car with like 12,000 miles on it and it's less expensive, it probably still has a new car smell in it. But I know that new cars are pretty darn nice too. So I leave it, the discussion and the motion to you guys. Vice Mayor Sanchez?
I would make the motion to get the new one for the 29,000, and because you don't know what the 12,000 miles could have been, a rent a car, could have been done, you know, and then at least we'll know have a nice brand new car, and it'll, considering the other one was 178,000 miles, we put a lot of miles on the car, so that would be my recommendation and motion for option 2.
And Madam Mayor, I'd like to make the motion for the Ford for 30,000. And if you'd like an explanation on that, I will be happy to provide it.
I would, please.
All right. In my many years of working on cars and owning different cars, I've owned several brand new cars. Historically, in my experience, the maintenance cost for a Ford product has been substantially less. So if you're looking at, you know, you say, okay, well, it's $1,000 more for the Ford, but if you start looking at $90 to probably $110 an hour in maintenance fees, I have historically had much higher maintenance fees on Chevrolet products than I have on Fords. That's just my experience. I've had 2 brand new Chevrolets that within a year, 18 months had substantial maintenance problems with them. Now, some of them are covered under warranty, some of them are not. Now, as far as that option 1 with that Traverse was probably a rental car. That $25,000 used car is probably a rental. And as we all know, when rental, people drive it like they stole it because it's not their car. So that for my a used Chevy is completely off the table. So just as a course of looking at long term, it's really as far as our budget goes, it's not that much for the initial cost of that vehicle. But in my personal experience, the maintenance costs on Chevrolets that I have owned, myself, my son, has been substantially higher than Ford's. So really, it's in my opinion, it's going to be penny wise and pound foolish that we don't spend the extra $1,000 or whatever it is. I think Scott said it was $900 and something dollars. I'm thinking $950 something dollars. If you factor in that we are going to own that car for long term, provided that somebody doesn't crash into it again, I think in the long run, we're going to save some extra dollars maintenance wise on that. So I would go for the Ford Explorer for $30,000, $28.
Ford Escape?
No, the Ford Explorer, the Escape. I looked at the Escape. I did look at the Escape, and the Escape for what Rose needs it for. She's got these large boxes and things she puts in the back of that. It's not going to meet her need. And I know that she said at the beginning of this conversation that the Escape was an error on her part, and the actual bid was for an Explorer. I would go for that Ford Explorer.
Do you want to amend your motion, John, or do we're going to have 2 opposing motions?
I was just going for the $1,000 less vehicle. We could make that one motion, vote that, and then you could vote for the other one. So it's an open motion if anybody wants to second it, or someone second.
I would second the Chevy, the 2021 Chevy, simply for the fact that my experience has been the opposite with Fords in terms of maintenance and paint issues and such. So I would second the new 2021 Chevy.
Okay. So we've had a motion and a second on Councilman Sanchez's, and then Councilman King made a motion. Did anybody want to second his motion?
I'll second his motion.
Okay.
I thought it made sense, but.
Okay, so Madam Mayor, you had a motion, a substitute motion. Both have been seconded. Therefore, the substitute motion gets voted on first.
Correct.
The rules.
So that would be Councilman King's. And I hate to say this because I like Vreeland Ford very much, but we had a pickup truck that went in, Dave, and they said it needed all kinds of work. And so my husband gave it to a cousin who spent less than $200 and fixed it, and he's been driving it for years. So anyway, for what it's worth. All righty, so Linda, we're going with Councilman King's motion on the Ford Explorer.
Okay, Councilmember King.
Aye.
Councilmember Andrusik.
Aye.
Councilmember Lewis.
Nay.
Vice Mayor Sanchez.
No.
And Mayor Sierra.
No. Okay.
Died
so
on the
now-
vine.
Well, I appreciate that you're looking out for the city's welfare because, you know, auto expenses can add up really quick. So, all righty. So now we have Councilman Sanchez's motion for the 2021 Traverse.
Okay, Vice Mayor Sanchez.
Aye.
Councilmember Lewis.
Aye.
Councilmember Andrusik.
Aye.
And Councilmember King.
No.
And Mayor Sierra.
Aye.
There you go.
Okay.
Thank you.
Democracy in action.
Well, and you work with
yes,
cars,
Mayor.
so I do respect what you have to say. I do. I had a different experience. Moving on to scheduling for the upcoming city council retreat. City Manager Scott Wolf.
Yay. Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. As I've mentioned to you previously, I've been approached by a couple of City Council members here about the potential of having a special meeting or a retreat for the City Council. We have not done that since I have been here with the city over the past year and a half. And in my experience in the past, these types of retreats are very helpful, particularly if the City Council is having some difficulties arising from personality conflicts on the City Council. Clearly, our City Council is not in that particular position. So nevertheless, I think it might be a good idea if the rest of the council concurs to get everyone together for an in-person meeting, something that hasn't happened for at least the past 8 months or so. To take care of some items that might be easier discussed in a face-to-face setting outside of a typical Thursday night regular city council meeting environment. So to that end, if the city council is in agreement, I would like to propose that we hold a city council retreat on an upcoming Saturday, and now that the state's stay-at-home order has been lifted, we can actually probably safely set a date for that. I would like to propose that the retreat be held at the Williamson property in the barn. It might be a little chilly. We'll see what we can do to warm the area up there. But the barn would allow an interior space to be used, and there's sufficient room in that barn to allow for more than adequate social distancing to take place. Obviously, we'll still be under the masking requirements and such, but at least we can all be in the same room, and we can have some discussions in a little less formal environment. The meeting will need to be a public meeting. It will be noticed just as any other city council meeting is, but it will be a special meeting of the city council and not a regular meeting. I would propose that we hold the meeting in 2 sessions. The first session would be a morning session. We could talk about some basic city council housekeeping items, some issues, maybe flesh out some policies or other issues regarding council and staff protocols. And then any other items that the city council may want to put forward for discussion. We would then break for lunch, and following lunch, the meeting could resume with a discussion of the future use, potential use of the Williamson property and its various components. Depending upon the weather, we could have a walk-through tour of various parts of the property for the city council, as well as for members of the public who happen to show up. We could hear from various organizations that have approached the city with ideas to utilize the property for their programs. The city council could have a discussion. I would recommend, though, that whatever discussion takes place, that any final decisions be held off until a regular meeting of the city council to hold final discussions and a decision. And then finally, the Botanic Garden Foundation has been attempting to get the city council to attend a brief tour of the property, and this might be an ideal opportunity, since you'll already be in the vicinity, to take a walk down or a drive down to the Botanic Garden to take that tour to close out the day with a ribbon cutting for the new entry monument that should be installed by then. So with that, I would open the, I would like to request the city council give me some direction as to a possible date. I would suggest maybe the last Saturday in February or the first Saturday in March. And if you have any ideas either this evening or in the next week or two for potential discussion items, I would ask that you get those to me also. And I'd be happy to take answer any questions or take direction as appropriate from the council at this time.
All righty, thank you very much. Questions? Hearing no questions from council,
I have a question.
Okay, Vice Mayor.
This meeting, would this be a regular public meeting? Is that why we would sit at the dais or sit around, and the public would be invited to watch our discussion and all that? Is that, it's like an open?
Yes, it would be
in
required
in front of anybody that wanted to come, and then we would have time for people to give us their ideas as well. Is that what we're not? It's not just the 5 of us running off for the weekend. It's
no, that I think the city
No.
attorney would discourage that kind of a meeting.
No, but it's going to be so anybody who wants to come and partake and watch, it'll be open to anybody, and we have enough room for everybody to stand around with social distancing and have a regular outdoor, basically an outdoor meeting, or
It would be an
open-
indoor meeting, but
open the
we-
barn.
Yes, and there may
Open.
be a limit on the number of the public that we could allow in at any given time, but that barn is a pretty big facility. We can make something work. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
All righty. Any other questions from council? Then I open it up to, yeah?
I like the
Councilman
timing. I like the timing. I think it's a good time of the year, and it's kind of slow. I think you could get some real interest from the community and probably stimulate some ideas of green light thinking.
Okay. Linda, is there anybody in the public?
No, ma'am.
Okay, closing public comment. Council, what dates work? February 27th? March, what is it? It'd be like March 6th, I think.
Yes.
Thank you.
Either one of those dates work for me, and I like the idea of a Saturday so other people that do work and have kids can arrange for childcare and maybe attend when they wouldn't otherwise be able to be involved.
Yeah, I do too.
Maybe March
Councilman
6th maybe March 6th would be good.
March 6th, does that work
So-
for everybody?
Yeah.
Getting them prepped for St. Pat's Day.
No corned beef, please. March 6th, does that work for everybody? If you do not. If that does not work, then speak now or forever hold your peace. Okay, City Manager.
I have my direction. I would welcome any input into the content of the meeting, and barring that, I will create with some creativity an agenda that will fill several hours of that day.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Lots of coffee.
All righty. Moving on to City Manager's report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Members of the City Council, I have just a few items for you tonight. The first item I would like to bring forward here has to do with a closure of Highway 246. This has been posted to the city's Facebook account already, and there's been quite a bit of discussion. But for those who haven't heard about it, Highway 246 has been closed on the west side of the just east of Jack in the Box on the westbound side or on the west side of Highway 246, and Thumbelina on the east side. Essentially, there's a hazardous condition in the form of a number of large trees, one of which has fallen and several of the others are leaning. Caltrans is in the process of removing those trees and wants to avoid one of those trees falling on passing vehicles, so they've decided to close those lanes of traffic basically in both directions until morning when they can get a crew out there to take care of it. The closure should be ended by 10 o'clock, and they may actually open those lanes of traffic to controlled access with a flag person out there directing traffic as early as 7 in the morning, but we can consider those lanes to be closed overnight. So we'll let that, if you have any questions about that, we'll try to answer it, but this is not something that the city instigated. This is a Caltrans project. We are simply getting information from Caltrans. Secondly, yes, I'm
Scott,
sorry?
Is that this weekend?
That's tonight. That is
Tonight.
right now, as of right now, those
Current.
lanes are closed, yes.
That's what I thought. Okay,
Should be open in the morning.
good.
Median 2, with the construction project wrapping up here, we expect that it should be wrapped up by the end of February, beginning of March. And so with this lifting of the stay-at-home order here, we are planning to hold a formal ribbon cutting and opening ceremony for that median, probably in early March. The actual opening of that median may take place before that. I'll coordinate with the Public Works Director on that, but we'll hold something formal for the City Council and the press to have a ribbon cutting there in early March. We'll keep you posted on the exact date. And lastly, just an update on vaccinations for the public's benefit. The COVID vaccination process is underway. The county is holding vaccination events in 3 locations right now. They alternate between Santa Barbara, Lompoc, and Santa Maria. The events that are held are not walk-up events. People that do want to be vaccinated need to be in one of the categories that's currently being vaccinated. Right now, that would be healthcare workers, certain first responders, and those over 75 years of age. I think this week or next week we'll shift in and drop that to those residents 65 years of age and older. They do need to have an appointment. Those appointments can be made through the County Public Health Department's website. The County Public Health Department's website is publichealthsbc.org, and then you can follow the links to the vaccine and schedule an appointment. They are only being held in those 3 locations. I have received a number of calls from people wanting to have events here in Buellton, and I have contacted both the Public Health Department and the county's Emergency Management Office to try and schedule something for that here in Buellton for those who may not be able to get to Lompoc, Santa Maria, or Santa Barbara. However, the ability to hold other events in other locations right now is being stifled simply by the lack of vaccine that's available. So the county has ordered vaccine as much as has been allocated to it by the state. As that vaccine comes in, these events are held and that vaccine is distributed as quickly as it can come in. Once they start to see vaccine arriving in sufficient quantities, we may get a little more traction from them as far as having an event here locally. In the meantime, I'm going to be looking into various options that we may have to coordinate some sort of transportation to these vaccine events. If we can get interested seniors locally here who may not have their own transportation to try and schedule appointments within a given time frame during a particular day, we may be able to coordinate some sort of transportation, but I'll have to work on that. There's a lot of moving parts. I'm just now starting to look into it. So if you have any questions on that, the parties to contact are Santa Barbara County Public Health. The city really doesn't have any active role in it right now until we start to see more vaccine rollout. Yes, sir.
Scott, could we ask, do you think the Department of Health does outreach? Would they be willing to maybe be a program item for an upcoming council meeting?
I could see what they have available. They have been, let's just say, overwhelmed for the past 8 months in terms of just trying to keep up.
Okay.
If there is some availability and they have someone who may be willing to come to a city council meeting in the near future here, I'll see what's available. Yes.
Thank you. I think that'd be noteworthy.
Okay, with that, I'll conclude my report.
Thank you. And I really do appreciate you staying on top of this. It's critical to a lot of our residents. So thank you very much. Mr. Murphy, you want to take us into our next item?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The City Council will now adjourn into closed session to discuss one item, public employee performance evaluation of the city attorney. I'll leave it to you, ma'am, to say whether we're going to go in right away or take a quick break before we go.
It is 7:27. Why don't we all connect back at 7:35?
Thank you, ma'am.
Can I just,
quick break and then.
Since this is
Yes.
my first closed session, can I figure out how we do this? Do we stay on the Zoom? Do we end the Zoom? Can you give me a little bit of procedure here?
So we will
absolutely. Go ahead.
We will end the Zoom meeting right now. You were emailed a little earlier today, just before 5, the information to log into the conference call for the closed session. And so if you'll dial into that number at 7:35, you should be there. If you have issues getting in, please text me and I'll help you get in there.
Okay, and do we need to come back to this Zoom to report out, or how does that work?
Nope.
It's just a phone, no Zoom.
Okay.
I will report out to Linda, who does a great job of making those minutes available almost immediately, even before they are approved. The draft minutes go out so the public has an immediate idea if any action was taken and what time you finished.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.